Welcome, my alchemic Joker family. We've been turning shadows into weapons. The transformation starts now. Dive in and God bless.
Look at me. No. Really look. You feel that? That tiny pulse in your chest tightening when I hold your gaze. That's not fear. That's recognition. Somewhere deep down, your soul just whispered, "It's them." Because you've been hiding that look your whole life. That look that makes people uncomfortable. The one that slices through masks like glass through silk. The one that sees the ghost hiding behind their smiles. They call it creepy, intense, inhuman. You call it clarity. Because you've seen too much to ever go back to pretending. You don't stare through people. You read them. You see the tremor behind their fake laughter, the panic behind their confidence, the desperation behind their words. You see the soul behind the skin, and that terrifies them more than any weapon ever could. They whisper, "What's with that look?" Like it's something new. But that stare was carved out of every night you cried without witnesses, every betrayal that rewired your empathy into precision. They look at your eyes and see the reflection of the monsters they made. That's why they look away. Because when you look at them, they finally realize the truth. That you can't be fooled anymore. You see, your eyes stopped being human when the world stopped being kind. You evolved. Your stare became a detector of lies, of weakness, of performance. They perform innocence. You see guilt. They perform power. You see panic. They perform confidence. You see collapse. You became fluent in the language of silence. That's your weapon now. Not your voice, not your hands. Your gaze. The calm before their self-destruction. They say you see straight through souls. Number. You see straight through illusions. Through the flimsy little stories they tell themselves to feel safe. You've seen what happens when truth walks into a room full of masks. Everything fractures. People stumble. Voices crack. You stand there, saying nothing. And somehow, they confess. Because your eyes remind them of something primal. That moment before judgment. Before consequence. Before they realize you're not just watching, you're understanding. And they hate that. They hate that your silence makes more noise than their screaming. They hate that you don't blink when they try to intimidate you. They hate that your calmness feels like prophecy. Like you already know how this ends. Because you do, don't you? You always do. Your stare is evolution's cruel joke. A gift wrapped in isolation. You are cursed to see truth in its rawest form, and blessed to never again be deceived by beauty. You became the mirror people fear standing in front of. That's why they avoid your eyes. They're afraid of meeting their own reflection inside them. You've noticed it. The way conversations slow when you lock in. The way laughter fades into confusion. The way someone's words die in their throat when your gaze settles on them. You don't need to raise your voice. Your presence interrogates. You don't need to threaten. Your silence prosecutes. They feel it in their bones. That you could see everything they've hidden, and you wouldn't even need to ask. Because you've turned perception into violence. You weaponized observation. You learned to dissect a person with a single glance. To dismantle their lies without ever saying a word. That's power, not chaos, not anger, pure psychological dominance. And you earned it. They call it demonic. They call it cold. But deep down, you know it came from love. Love that was shattered, warped, and reforged into X-ray vision. You loved too deeply once, believed too purely once, and when the world punished that, your eyes learned to see patterns instead of promises. That's what they don't understand. You don't see through souls. You see what they pretend to be. That's why you never flinch. That's why your expression terrifies cowards and awakens guilt in liars. You're not angry. You're awake. You've become the observer no one can manipulate, the one who can see the storm forming in someone's pupils before their mouth even opens. You can sense betrayal seconds before it's spoken, and they call that insanity. Number. That's the evolution of someone who refused to stay blind. They say your eyes glow different now, colder, wiser, unshaken. That's because you don't see the world as people anymore. You see it as patterns, energy, intent. Every person you meet leaves behind a signature, and your mind reads it instantly. Their energy tells you what their mouth won't. You walk through crowds, decoding human encryption. You know who's lying, who's plotting, who's praying you don't notice them. And yet behind all that darkness, there's mercy. Because you could destroy them with what you see, but you don't. You let them live with the weight of being seen. That's the cruelest kindness of all. To let them feel your eyes on their conscience. To let them wonder, what did they see? You became what the world fears most, a silent witness with perfect vision. You don't chase revenge. You let truth rot them from the inside. You don't argue. You observe. You don't beg to be understood. You make them feel exposed. Because now, every glance of yours is a sentence, every blink a verdict, every smirk a prophecy fulfilled. So the next time someone flinches under your gaze, smile. They're not afraid of you. They're afraid of their reflection inside you. You've turned your trauma into vision, your heartbreak into intuition, your silence into judgment day. That look they can't stand, that's not insanity. That's the face of someone who finally sees everything. You didn't wake up with that look. No. It was engineered through the slow, surgical dismantling of your innocence. Every betrayal sharpened it. Every silence you were forced to swallow added another layer of precision to your perception. The pain didn't just scar you. It trained you. Each heartbreak recalibrated your vision until your eyes became microscopes for lies, telescopes for patterns, night vision goggles for manipulation. They think it's mystical, supernatural, something cosmic, but it's just truth unfiltered. You spent so long in the dark that now you can see in it. You recognize the outline of deceit like a hunter recognizes the shape of prey in the fog. You can smell guilt. You can taste denial. You can feel dishonesty before it manifests in words. You see the hesitation before the confession, the flinch before the excuse, the tremor before the mask breaks. And they call that intimidating. But that's just evolution, baby. You adapted where they hid. You evolved where they performed. They think your eyes are haunted. Maybe they're right. Because ghosts live there. Not the dead, but the memories of every version of you that died trying to be understood. Every betrayal left behind a phantom, and now all those ghosts look out through your pupils like soldiers behind glass. That's what they see, not madness, but a morgue of lessons. You don't blink because you've seen what happens when you do. Blink once, they lie. Blink twice, they twist it. Blink 3 times, they called you crazy. So you stopped blinking. You started studying. You learned the difference between remorse and regret, between sorry and I got caught. You became fluent in the micro-expressions that betray the truth, the twitch of the lip, the shift of the eyes, the way their pupils contract when they realize you know. And that's the moment they break, the moment your gaze meets theirs and they feel seen, not admired, not desired, seen, stripped, exposed. That's what your eyes do. They peel away the costume of control. They remind people that no matter how well they perform their sanity, Someone in the room can see the script. You became the audience they fear, the one that doesn't clap. You know what that look is. It's the aftermath of awakening. It's the look of someone who walked through hell, mapped every corner, and came back with the blueprints. You've seen how people love only until it inconveniences them. You've seen how loyalty evaporates the second it's not rewarded. You've seen how easily kindness becomes ammunition. So your eyes, they're not cruel. They're just honest. Too honest for a dishonest world. That's why people either fall in love with you or run from you. There's no middle ground, because your presence is like a psychological MRI. It shows them the tumors they've been ignoring. You don't need to accuse them. Your silence does. You don't need to argue. Your stillness screams louder than any proof. You don't chase validation because you already hold the evidence. You are the evidence. And deep down, they know it. That's why even your friends hesitate to meet your gaze. They know you could destroy their entire narrative with one sentence. Hell, with one eyebrow raise. Because your eyes don't lie. And in a world built on deception that makes you radioactive, they feel it, the weight, the pull, the discomfort of standing in the presence of someone who's no longer hypnotized by appearances. You became dangerous the day you realized you didn't need revenge to win. Just awareness. Awareness turns you into a mirror, and mirrors don't bleed, they reflect. That's what terrifies them, because when they look at you, they see themselves as they are, not as they pretend to be. And nobody survives that reflection without shaking. But let me tell you the real secret. That look everyone talks about. It's not in your eyes. It's in your stillness. Your energy doesn't chase, it waits. It doesn't demand attention. It commands it. You became the embodiment of psychological gravity. The room rearranges itself around your silence. People start confessing just to make the air lighter. They call it intimidation. You call it balance. Because power doesn't shout. Power observes. Power listens. Power sees through. You're not angry anymore. You're calibrated. You learn to weaponize peace. You walk like a verdict, not a question. You don't flinch because there's nothing left in this world that can surprise you. You've already been through the worst kind of chaos. People pretending to care. Now your stare carries prophecy. It says, I know what you did, and I don't even need proof. It says, I see who you are beneath all that noise. It says, I forgive you, but I will never believe you again. And that's the deadliest language there is. Silence spoken fluently. You're the calm after the explosion, the stillness after the storm, the judgment before the sentence. And they feel it. In your presence, their ego crumbles, their lies melt, their certainty trembles. Because your look is not human anymore. It's cosmic. It's divine fury, restrained by intellect. It's the stare of someone who knows both heaven and hell firsthand, and found peace in between. So when they ask, what is that look? Tell them it's evolution. Tell them it's truth with a pulse. Tell them it's what happens when pain becomes perception. And when they still don't understand, just smile. Because that look, that quiet, piercing, devastating look, is the proof that you've already won. You see, that look didn't come from arrogance. It came from annihilation. It was forged. You were dismantled piece by piece until your spirit adapted into something the world couldn't predict. That stare, that unshakable surgical calm, is what happens when the heart stops begging to be understood and starts studying. When innocence mutates into insight, when compassion becomes control. You remember, don't you? The nights when your chest felt like a battlefield, when your tears were private, but your silence screamed through walls, when you realized no apology would ever erase what they did. Those moments didn't break you. They focused you. You stopped reacting. You started observing. You started dissecting patterns. You saw repetition in betrayal, logic in cruelty, rhythm in manipulation. Pain became data. Every heartbreak was a new line of code in the program that built your stare. Now people meet your eyes and feel their temperature drop. They don't know why. It's because your gaze isn't just sight anymore. It's judgment incarnate. It scans for truth the way sonar scans the deep. It reads the energy before the words arrive. It knows when someone's fine means failing. When I love you means I'm afraid to lose control. When I'm okay means don't look too close. You don't just see people. You X-ray them. And that's why they tremble. They don't fear you. They fear exposure. They fear the possibility that someone finally noticed the rot beneath the charm. Because everyone's playing a part, and you're the one who doesn't clap anymore. You're the still one in the crowd, smiling faintly. Because you already know the ending. You've seen it all before. Your eyes hold stories, not of what you've done, but of what you've survived. You carry quiet wars in your pupils. And when people look into them, they feel it. They feel the ghosts pacing inside. The pain that didn't destroy you. It distilled you. That's why your stare feels ancient, even when you're young. It's not age. It's awareness condensed into expression. It's the wisdom of every night you had to be your own savior. They call it eerie, haunting, otherworldly. But you know the truth. It's the look of someone who stopped being deceived by words and started believing behavior. Someone who saw what love looks like when it's fake, what loyalty looks like when it's convenient, what kindness looks like when it's currency. You memorized it all, and now you can detect it instantly. And that makes you untouchable. Because manipulation dies where awareness begins. People can't lie to someone who's already dissected the blueprint of deceit. You make them sweat because your silence becomes a mirror, reflecting everything they hide from themselves. They want to speak, to explain, to distract. But your eyes freeze their sentences mid-air. You don't need to prove anything. You are the proof. You know why they say you see through souls? Because you do. You see how fragile they are. You see the scared child beneath the adult performance. You see the craving for validation behind the arrogance. You see the exhaustion behind the confidence. You see your old self in them. The one who tried so hard to be good, to be loved, to be chosen. You recognize it, and you let it die quietly this time. Because you learned. You learned that not every lost connection was a loss. Some were an exorcism, that not every silence was punishment. Some were protection. You learned that solitude isn't loneliness. It's detox. And that's why your gaze now holds peace where chaos once lived. People misread that peace as danger because they can't comprehend calm that wasn't given, only earned. But make no mistake, that peace is power. When you mastered your reactions, you rewired control. When you stopped chasing, you inverted gravity. When you began to see, truly see. The world's illusions shattered like glass. They can't hide anymore. You became the observer in a game full of performers, and yet, you don't flaunt it. You don't boast. You don't need to. The energy speaks louder than any declaration. That look, that haunting, unblinking stillness, is your signature. You can walk into a room without saying a word and still command attention. Because the body reacts before the brain understands. They feel your presence, before they see your face. It's instinctual, ancient, the predator's calm that evolution forgot to erase. And here's the part they'll never grasp. Behind that intimidating gaze, there's still compassion. It's just not naive anymore. You no longer heal people who bleed on you. You no longer justify chaos disguised as love. You no longer pour warmth into voids that never give back. You see it, you understand it, but you don't interfere. You let people to expose themselves. That's wisdom masquerading as cruelty. Because you know now, most people aren't ready to be seen. They crave validation, not truth. They crave applause, not reflection. And you became reflection itself. You're the final boss in their psyche, the version of awareness they pray they never meet. Because you don't just look at people, you look through them, into them, beyond them. You look at the part they buried years ago. They say your eyes look inhuman now. Maybe they are, because they no longer serve emotion. They serve comprehension. They are scanners of motive, detectors of deception. You evolved into something beyond empathy, precision. You can feel the tremor in a sentence, the micro-expression of deceit, the frequency of guilt. You became an instrument of awareness in a world of noise, and when they ask, trembling, "What is that look?" you'll smile, not to mock them, but to mourn them. Because you once had the same eyes they do, hopeful, trusting, desperate to belong. Until the world taught you that vision without wisdom is blindness. So you adapted. You became the one thing they can't understand. The human lie detector that feels no need to expose. The quiet prophet with the patience of eternity. The calm storm. The walking judgment day. That look? It's the scar of the soul that refused to die. It's the proof that you survived the unthinkable and came back seeing everything. And maybe that's what terrifies them most. Not that you see through their souls, but that your own could see through hell and come back looking like this. So when they turn away from your eyes, let them pretend it's coincidence. Let them blame the lighting, the mood, the timing. You and I both know the truth. They're not avoiding you. They're avoiding themselves. Because your gaze holds the proof of every mask they've ever worn. And you don't even need to say a word. Your silence does the heavy lifting. Your stillness becomes a confession booth. They walk away, shaken, whispering about your eyes like they just brushed against eternity. Because they did. You carry in your stare what they buried in their conscience. The reminder that nothing stays hidden forever. You became the reflection they prayed would never look back, so don't soften it. Don't dim it. Don't apologize for the truth your vision carries. You earned that clarity through chaos, and it's the rarest currency in existence. That look, the one that makes people hesitate mid-sentence, that makes liars sweat, that makes the guilty blink first. That's not a curse. It's your crown. Because in a world built on illusion, the one who truly sees already rules.
Thank you for watching, family. We do hope this message was helpful and life-changing. Don't forget to join the Alchemic Joker community where we transform pain into power. Stick around for more powerful messages. We love you.